Well, Adam has really spent a lifetime of research into the Cairngorms, just the geology and the inhabitants, old inhabitants, and the climbers. I've been going to the Cairngorms for probably more than 50 years, and you think you know a wee bit about the Cairngorms until you go out with him, and he knows every little dimple, every hollow, and he's got a name for everything. It's just about hills, the names of places, and also the grouse and the ptarmigan. In fact, if you're on the hill with Adam and there's grouse around, you get the impression that he knows them by first name.
Well, possibly one of Adam's great qualities is his ability to work in every level with a hardcore scientist, but also as a person who can go and speak to somebody in the street and relate that knowledge in a very accessible way. His place names of Upper Deeside, which was published in the late 80s, that's still the authority on the place names of that area. And it's not just something that's set in stone. He's still gathering information in every way, and people are still consulting him on a daily basis to find out his opinion, because he really is the authority in many aspects of place names. Also snow patches. That was quite surprising for me initially when I heard about somebody who was that interested in snow patches, where they managed to document it from 1947 or so onwards on the first day of every month. And there's actually a big gathering of people now who are keen to continue his work and learn from him.
Well, the first time I remember being amazed by snow was when I was about 7 years old, and living in Turriff at the time, and looked out and you could see the great veils of white coming down against the black. And I thought that was extraordinary and quite beautiful in a way. And you could watch the veil coming down and then the snowflakes landing on the roof and melting, and then gradually piling up, and then going outside in the garden afterwards and walking about in it and feeling it. And you could see that every bit you took a hold of, every snowflake was different, every crystal was different. And it was just amazingly beautiful. And the distant hills like Benahee, they were just lit up, the ridges were all lit up with the sun shining on the snow. And I thought this was just fantastic. I wondered if anybody had been on Benahee in the winter and thought one day I'd like to go. Many of the projects I did as a scientist were, it was difficult to tell the difference between spare time and work time. I just liked working and asking questions and trying to get answers. And it meant a lot to me to get data. For example, if I'd gone up to count ptarmigan broods or to look at snow patches, and I got them all except one snow patch, and I couldn't get it that day because the mist had rolled in, I would wait maybe an hour or two waiting for because it just takes 1 second clear and you can get it. And if that second didn't come, I would feel slightly deprived, I'd come home, and I'd go back again, of course. But I had this feeling about gathering observations that was slightly illogical in a way, because as a scientist I knew that all you had to do was to get statistically good samples. But I like to get them all, to ring the last chick and see the last snow patch, and that's still the case. Having a fairly obsessive streak about certain things is important if a person's going to make the most of, especially doing research in an area where there's bad weather, or if you're deciding to do a PhD on the winter ecology of ptarmigan, for example, when I was my honours year, wasn't an easy option, but I just didn't want to take on anything else. And the fact that you had to go up in the last bus and then walk for 10 miles or cycle or ski, and then the next day might be appalling on the hill. But I just wanted to see how these birds survived in winter, because I knew they could do it far better than us. And so that was part of the inspiration, as well, of course, as being there, because if you're a mountaineer and you're interested in the weather and in the terrain, if you're also interested in wildlife and you see the wildlife, then it's a kind of bonus. But even if you don't see the wildlife, because the weather's bad or for some other reason, you've enjoyed being there. And other things I've done, like the study of the place names and the local Gaelic, the same obsession came in. Here, because the complicated geology and the fact that within 50 miles or so you've got so much variety, I think Scotland's outstanding in that respect. And Deeside, I think, is Upper Deeside, I think, is one of the finest parts of the world because it's got so much variety from Arctic-like high ground and lots of snow to the remains of the Old Caledonian forest and the farmland and the woodland lower down.
More people are enjoying the Cairngorms now and realise what a great place it is, and that's a lot to do with Adam's influence.
I'm really happy he's got this award because mountains and culture is something Adam Watson's all about, and bringing them together in one individual with such a wealth of knowledge really encapsulates for me how people should be recognised with this award. You could probably go to Adam and say, how was this bothy used 200 years ago? And he would say, well, I remember speaking to somebody who spoke to somebody who spoke to somebody else. And they would know from first-hand knowledge how that bothy was used, or can you sing me a song that the shepherds might sing or the keepers might sing in Cairngorms bothy and Larry Grew? He would know and he could recite it.
I heard this song from an old keeper near Grantown, 1942. Galten lochen uan, va mi oor het af. Get waant at je voer, van aardig voosach bla. Get hige ge o hoorem, us kahal lue onert. Va alten lochen uan, le uam gam choor gepraaf.